I'd never deny that I'm really lucky to have this job, but what has made it so special over the years has been the people I get to meet. And when I put the review of the Tour X5 out, I asked if any of you would be interested in a raw, uncut video of Michio Arai talking about the history of Arai and why he feels so strongly about the way the Japanese company makes its helmets. A lot of you wanted to see it, so what follows is about 45 minutes of Michio talking. Now, he brought Arai to the Western world after taking over from his father, Hirotaki, the founder of the company. And it was Mitch's passion to be the #1 in protection that led to the brand we have today. I'd love to have overlaid it with historical shots and other clips, but I just couldn't get any besides this well-known pic of Hirotaki. During the presentation, I snuck my phone out after about 15 minutes. You'll have another angle then, but this really is raw footage, so I'd suggest you grab a drink and settle in. You might find headphones help with the audio, but I think this is well worth a watch. The first helmet I bought was an Arai after my mate recommended it, but I do, of course, review lots of different brands. I'm still totally independent, but I've got to say that meeting Michio was one of the highest points of my career. I think it's got a lot to do with the Japanese culture, but I found it really humbling to meet him and the other people who work there, including his son Akihito, who's going to be the next to run the business. I've also included an interview I did with Michio at the end where I ask him some more questions, including his hopes for the future of Arai when Aki takes over. So the video starts with Mitch talking about his father, Hirotaki, and I really hope you enjoy watching this.
During the World War II, he was a son of a hat shop, small hat shop in Tokyo City. I was born as his son. And, he somehow has the ability to develop something new. And he was asked by Japanese army to make headgears for them. But he didn't do anything to do with fighting war, but to make them more comfortable and make them more practical in the wash. In the field, and he made some pilot cap with leather, and I don't know, he made a lot of things, but thanks for that, he didn't have to be drafted. So he didn't have to go war because he was working in his hat shop to maintain and support the fight. And one of the things he made was in those days, the Japanese army sent to Southeast Asia. They didn't have no other means to move to farther their places. They didn't have no truck or nothing. They have to walk. So the heat was really, it was hot. So he was asked to develop some headgear for heat isolation. And so he made use bamboo and put the fabric on it and make a helmet for heat isolation, not for against any fight, but to make them more durable to walk and march toward Southeast Asia. And the army, like Japanese people, liked his idea. And the troop put that helmet on. But they couldn't find anybody who can do that. So they asked my father, you make yourself. But his shop was a little small shop in Tokyo City, so he couldn't do anything. That's why he located this position right where. where we are. In those days, this Omiya is not a city, it's just a shrine there, a famous shrine, and just a wood and farms. So he acquired this location and put up a plant to make that helmet for heat isolation. That's how Arai started. And we are still here at the headquarters. And the war started that way. But that's why he didn't have to be drafted. He didn't have to go to war. And war ended. And that was good for us. But after the World War II, he, in those days, he didn't have nothing to do, so he started make use of the surplus from those production during World War II. He started to make some headgear. And first, he thought of making a helmet again. But first, he didn't have no mean or devices or a factory to make shop. So he started to make use of American Army. If they use a helmet for certain length, they throw away. So he covered it and make use of American Army's head helmet and replaced with an interior. And then started to make a helmet again. Then soon, somehow, he was a man. He never go to school, and even didn't go high school, and never go to college. But he somehow had the ability to come up with some new idea and make something new. And I don't know how he did it. He was no college graduate, but he went up to meet some professor in college or something, and he started to make a fiberglass shell somehow, and also started to make a styrofoam head liner. I still don't know how he got idea. I even don't know myself either, but he somehow started to do it, and he started his own way. And so he probably is one of the first men in this country who started to make something to do with fiberglass. So I understand Mr. Soichiro Honda, he had an idea of starting make a scooter and make use of fiberglass. But there were no other place who did the fiberglass. But his office, his home was about 30 kilometers away. And he had a room. That funny man in Omiya is making fiberglass shell. So Mr. Honda, he personally visited my father. That's what I had. And he made the scooter with the fiberglass body. And that's what I understand. But what I think I understand is that scooter wasn't very successful. I'm sorry, but anyway, that's our history. So we started making helmets, and I grew up with his helmet in the business. But I also liked motorcycle. So since I was a kid, even before going to school, I started riding my father's old scooter, and somehow I fixed that, and I started to ride, even though I go to school, grammar school. And I've been riding all the way. And I grew up with the motorcycle industry and grew up with this business he was doing. But I didn't learn very much when I graduated from a pretty famous school, college and university this way. But the system in this country is a bit different from the rest of the world, I may say. When you enter college or enter school, it is very difficult to enter. But if you're once in it, you can graduate anyhow. You don't have to do much. The enter, difficult. And easy to get up. And that was it. But my mother looked at me, and she must have thought, I'm going to make this kid something. He may have something. He must have thought. So I do not know what she did, but she somehow get friendly with some American soldiers and high officers and a friend, and made a way for me to go the college in the United States, which was like in 1961. And I went to the United States in 61. In those days, there was not many people going overseas. But I was lucky that I could go to school in the United States and that age. When I go there, the plane, even was straight to San Francisco. It stopped in Hawaii. And the air terminal was like not concrete, just a tree and a palm tree. And how you know, it was entirely different. But that was the experience I had had. And that probably grew me up. And I went to, at a small college in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I don't know how I got there, but that probably was the chance that I could go there. And the semester is different. Here in Japan, it starts in spring. And next spring, graduate, and then go up to the next grade. But in Japan, March, it's graduate. Then you enter. But so after I graduated from university in Japan, I went to the United States and started to start from summer semester. And that's where I really started to study. Because over here in this country, if 100 student gets in, that's a really hard competition, get into college. But 100, probably 98 or 95% of them graduated anyhow. But over there in the United States, the system was entirely different. Easy to enter, but difficult to graduate. Entirely different. And I really started to study. And I probably, in the first 3 months, the first semester, I did study more than whole life until in Japan. And that's where I started to notice I may have some ability to learn. And I woke up. So, to me, the United States is my second home ground, where I know that I can do something. Then I started to walk there. And somehow I, after a year and a half, I become the history of that college. I was beat all records of the college, and that's why I know that I may have some ability to do something. But I still know, when I was there in the United States, I didn't have no chance to ride a motorcycle. I couldn't afford to buy that either. But after under the graduation, I had an offer from several big names, including NASA. Even NASA offered me a position. And if I remember right, in those days, annual income of the college graduate was around $10,000. But the offer to me was something like 30, 40, a big name. And I thought of that. I may spend the rest of my life in the United States. But when I come to think of the future, anyway, in those days, Japan was really low. So where I can go up is limited. This may not be the place I will go. So I decided to come back to Japan, and without knowing what to do. Then, first thing I did when I come back, I started to ride motorcycle again. That's what I really love to do. It, and I think I was a pretty good rider, and I wanted to be something in the racing, but I knew. But I'm now shortened by 2 inches. Thanks to my aging and the crash and some bone broke. But I was a bit too big to be a racer. So I wouldn't be very good in motorcycle. So I may be able to do something with sports car riding, sports car race. And I started a sports car race. And I made a contract with Nissan. And I became a test driver for Nissan for a while. And I was thinking of, I may get famous, world famous in this kind of race. I did it. But after a year or so, I know that in order to be really super good, I was a good driver, but to be a super good, you got to be born different. And I know that I'm not the one. So I decided goodbye to racing, and I stopped the racing. I'm really glad that I stopped the racing. Racing, we have spent too much money. And so I started to do something with the helmet and did what I do. But at least I could communicate in English. And until that time, we didn't have overseas requirement. But I started as a business in the United States, and I could do communication. And did business all around alone. But many years passed. But one day, I had a visit. I know that if I look around, the world was really. The Bill helmet was at the top of it, and everybody acknowledged it as #1. And but I know Bill because thanks to the Dr. Snavely of the founder of the Snow Foundation, he introduced me to the owner of the Bill back in the middle of the 60s. And he called up from his office. Here's an interesting man from Japan. And he called up owner of Bell. And you better meet this man. He's interesting. And you better meet him. So he arranged a meeting with this owner of Bell. And the Bell, the location was Sacramento. From that afternoon, I flew from Sacramento to Los Angeles. And the owner of the Bell helmet and the vice president, Mr. Frank Hickok, picked up us and showed me around to the plant too, and devices too. I really appreciate it. And what I found is there was two things in common. They make helmets with fiberglass. My father started to make helmets with fiberglass shell. And for impact absorption system, my father started to use, I don't know how they did, as a styrofoam. The Bell was using styrofoam too, something in common. But the way of making is entirely different. And I know that we didn't copy them, they didn't copy them. We are separate. But in those days, in the 60s, Bell was over there of the United States. Arai was, even in those days, we didn't have no brand Arai either. And the HA, the Hirotaki Arai is my father's name, HA. HA brand helmet in Japan. So entirely different. And we never thought it was a competition. So we stayed that way. But after the 10 years old, and during this time, I still enjoy riding, enjoy racing, and my name was very famous because I was a good driver too. No? And if I go local race, I keep winning. Nobody could touch me. And I was happy being there, running without sufficient money to buy bike and sports car, and it was a good time. But one day, in mid-90s, there was a lady journalist, Japanese radio journalist, paid me in an interview. She was a good-looking lady. And she come to my office and started to talk with me. And she asked me, Mr. Arai, what you gonna do? And she said, well, I want to be, someday I want to be #1. And she was wearing a helmet and brought the helmet, the Bell. So someday I want to be at the top of the world. And she said, "You mean you're gonna go above it?" I said, "Yeah." And she smiled or grim, and that lit the fire. Well, I'm gonna get there. So that's the time I started to decide. I'm gonna be #1 in helmet business. That's the time I thought. But when I think of #1, even if #1, helmet is a small industry. There's a gigantic industry all over around. What #1 means something. But if it comes to the value of what it saves, its life, its being, I can be proud if I can be #1 in protection. Well, I'm set to go to be #1 in protection. That's the time. So I'm thankful for that lady. But she passed away after a year later. Anyway, that's that time I decided to be #1 in protection. To be #1 protection means if we go over Bell, then that means number one. So target is there, visible. No? And by that time, the owner of Bell, they already retired. They sold their business and the name to some other investor. So I didn't have to fight with Mr. Frank Hickok and Victor. He was a good man, but I didn't have to fight with them. It's already name and the business and everything. And the Bill has been keep making helmets that we have been doing in 10 years. Now, so we decided, well, I had a good chance. We are making helmets entirely different thing. So if I can go over beyond Bell, well, I can be number one protection. This is a good deal. So that's the time I decided to be, what's going to do the rest of the life. And I started to work that way. Well, but easy to decide, but really hard to do it. The people working in those days was not so much. These days I have a good people, but they just come to work for their money. Oh, I had to go into shell molding first. I started to work with the shell too. Shell molding, the fiberglass, and the resin. I started to struggle with it. It's easy to think, but different to do, difficult to do. And I tried making a new shell and tested it, tested it, couldn't do much. So during the day, I struggled in shell molding department in another place. But in the evening, I did office work and the communication with the overseas customers. I struggled that 3-4 months, but didn't much thing, but I didn't give up. Then one evening, one guy approached me. Hey, Mr. Arai, I can't stand looking at you like this. Let me do for you. Well, then this guy started to do the struggle with the shell molding. And another guy started up. So anyway, it's the energy that hits the light of the heart of the people working. So what I actually did was decided to be number one and struggle against it, fight against it. Then something may happen. And that's what I learned, and that's what happened. Then I started to first, about a year later, I very, very convinced our helmet can do far better than Bell. But during the process, I started another thing about how can I tell the world our helmet can supersede Bell in protection. Well, and no ads can do it. And finally, it will be the race. That's where a lot of accidents. If a helmet really works, that will be a talk of the town. And the world will know what arises. That's the way I started work. It was in mid-70s, close to 80s. That's how we started to work toward this way. And ever since, we've been doing it. But easy to tell, but difficult to do. And what we really know is there's no such thing like a magic wand. And there's always some impact. Even the helmet can't do anything. That's, you gotta accept it. But don't give it up. If you do it, you can find some gain in protection. And if you look into every detail helmet, in every detail, there is something left for improvement. So what we still keep doing is we never give up. Always look into some little detail. In every detail, there's always some left for improvement, and work on it and include it. That's what we still do. That's the answer we got it. Of course, there's no way we can overcome any kind of accident either. But some little gain in protection. Keep accumulating gain in protection. Just keep it. Keep on doing it. Never stop it. That's the rule. I find it. And we are still doing it. And what I'm afraid is, well, in 1960s, there was a funny man like me in Japan. And Bell will become beyond the Bell. I know certain things. Well, even the one thing that happened was, I know there are certain differences in the impact absorption between Bell and Arai in those days. And there's no way I could talk it. But one day, a guy by the name of Skip Action, he was in there. I didn't like his nature. And he said, I don't know how good your helmet is, but if you pay me money, I'm going to wear a helmet. The big mouth, small body. But the guy started wearing my helmet. And I invited him to here, and then he even let him spend days here in my home. But I paid him, then Skip let him wear a helmet. But one day, it was in Daytona. There's an oval from at the end, in the middle oval, there's the right turn, and that's the left turn car. Left. That's you're doing 300 kilometers an hour. Then suddenly make it, and he made a crash, and he went into the net, and then the stuff that hit head. Then what happened was that he stood up, and that big mouth Skip, he just said, "Hey guys, did you see that? This is what I'm wearing." Big mouth Skip. Well, last time I had that with Bell. Bell kept running for a week, but now I'm stand up. Well, that changed the scene in the scenario. So after 3-4 months, even guy like Kenny Roberts, he started wearing my helmet with the other brands who pay money to him. I knew that he's wearing a helmet because he come ask for the face shield for the guy, a Japanese who was racing in the World GP. But anyway, my way to #1 protection started that way. And we're still doing it because I'm still afraid of there may be someone somewhere in the world to be #1 beat Arai. Same thing that guy or kid may think about now. Well, I don't want to give a chance to such guy. So what do we do? And what am I telling your people is never stop. How small the improvement will be. Just keep, never stop and gain in protection. Each little gain in protection, we should know how much each would add. But the mechanism of real impact, we never know. And we're still involved in racing. And we're not the doctors, but we know the impacts that we've seen. But if you are a doctor, they may get the reports with the police, but there's nothing you can find in the records. What triangle, but in the racing, you can always see what's happening. So we still, we still keep doing our risk involvement, but it's not just up and make Arai visible, but that's the only way, the best way for us to learn a reality of impacts. And what we know is it's the real mechanism of protection. We still do not know. It's beyond our knowledge. But it's the bestest way to learn about impact and protection. That's why we will keep our best involvement from now to, even if I don't know how long I'm going to stay here, but as long as I lie here, I will never stop risk involvements. And that's the best place we can learn about impact and protection. That's what we're going to do. And another thing I would tell is the most difficult time for me was past 10, 15 years after the economic crash in Lehman crash. At that time, racing stopped. People was interested in riding, went to that's the trailing and all other the competition, and we lost the way to tell the world our protection is different. No way to tell the world. And when the economy down and the sales then the industry moved the other way. Now, let me tell you an aspect of the requirements. Every market has standards, enforcing standards. Enforcing standard is for the sake of the protection of the wearers. Any helmet to be offered for sale has to have a certain degree of protection. So the standards that provides protection to the wearer, but that's not all. It's all give protection for the manufacturers. Well, even the helmets have a chance to fail to give protection. But so long as helmet meets the standards, the manufacturer is free of liability. So long as the helmet meets the standards, even if it fails to give protection, manufacturer is free of liability. So, what the market moved toward that way was many manufacturers, in order to fight against this, that they can fall in sales due to the economy. They started to give many good features for sales, and sales features like the built-in visor or a lot of things. Well, think of what you have, the space inside the helmet. Space between head and outer shell. That's the very most precious place for impact upside management. How can we afford to use that for other? We never could do it. So we never could move that way. But so we only worked the same way, gain in protection. That's what we have been doing. And we had sales went down, 30%, 40%, even come down, close to half of what it used to be. But we never moved. We never changed the way of working. But what I really appreciate is there are people who could keep buying our products, believing in Arai. One who has been saved once, they keep wearing. So we could survive through those past 10, 15 years and kept moving the same way we have been working to that. So even during this 7, 8 years, 10 years, the level of protection came up higher. And while others may have used the room, if it helps pass standards, you can do anything. But we never did it.
I've always admired the way that Arai has determinedly stuck to what you believe makes the safest helmet. And in the face of how competition has added things, as you said the other day, how they've changed things to up sales, how you have always said, no, this is what we believe. You said when you gave that great presentation how there were difficult times. Was there ever a time where you wavered, where you thought,
that was the only way I could live myself.
Yes.
I didn't stay being Michio Arai. If I give it up, that's the end of it.
Okay.
So I didn't want to give it okay to send this death to my career.
Yeah.
So I stay the way I've been thinking. And I didn't know if we could survive. But we did it.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. There are such great people supporting us and let us stay. And now get back to where we can have this kind of event. And thank you very much.
No, thank you. It's very clear when we looked around the factories. Seeing some of the posters on the wall, I was translating them with my phone, and some of the ones written in English, like the "We do not know where he will hit." It was very clear in everybody working that they all shared exactly the same passion. How does it make you feel when you're out on your bike or walking around the city and you see somebody wearing an Arai, somebody who doesn't work here?
Well, that's anyway. I think every helmet is good. It's a good helmet and good enough to pass standard. And even a helmet cannot save. There are some instances we have to give up. But we want to as much as possible. That's all I want to do. And it's just the thing we can do is limited. Whatever do, there was a time I looked around for something like a magic wand. I can make something that protects from every the instant, but there's no such thing like a magic wand. But I failed to give up, and I hated to give up. So what I did was, if I look into a little detail, that's something we can do for some gain in protection. I don't know how much it does, but I keep telling our people, let's do it, let's do it. We don't know how much it would add, but at least I'm convinced that it's do something good, something better. And how much it does, we're not sure. But at least we can feel comfortable by doing that. And at the same time, I'm always afraid that there may be someone like me many decades ago. I'm gonna get that position. So if I sit around without doing, and somebody will take me over. We don't have to wait. So even the increment, no, I would not. Let's do it. That's something where I started back in 20, 30 years ago. And at least that made me feel a bit comfortable. But we come to hear many says Arai is different. So that was the answer. The way we started walking looks to be right. Don't go there, chase the magic wand. But if you look into detail, there are some room left to gain in protection. And let's do it one by one. And by keep doing it, we come to hear many in the world says, Arai is different. So that gives us the convincement and give some keys then to the people who work with it. But the first, many were this man, the boss of us, something funny. I don't know how much it does, but they were, I remember something critical. But by keeping it and hearing a lot of thanks, they come to think, what are we going to be doing? Maybe right. And actually, the one who actually would do that is not me, the people working at Arai. They are those who actually make that protection in the real. So, not big deal. Just keep doing what I believe. And in addition, helmet is a small industry. If you look for the size of the business, there are huge industry all around. But the value of what we protect is priceless. So we can be proud of what we are doing, regardless of how the size of the business we're doing. They're doing it. That's something I've been kept talking to our people. And by keep talking the same words, I started to really believe what I'm telling. And now we're here.
That's fantastic. It's interesting what you say about always the protection. How, in some countries, in some cultures, people fight to not wear a helmet, fight to not want to wear. What do you think of?
Well, I never blame that.
Okay.
It's motorcycle riding or not. That's up to them.
Yeah, all about choice.
It's the value.
Yeah.
We gotta respect the value.
Yeah.
If you like to ride around with no helmet, that's his way.
Yeah.
Or her way. I have no right to criticize.
Yeah.
But if a helmet functioned, help in some instant, at least we can really feel great. We did something great. Being said thanks or not, the news that some, we keep receiving letter from one who got out of the accident with not much head injury.
Yeah.
That feels us great, and not being. That's about all.
Yeah. No. Final question for you: if you were passing on one piece of key advice to Aki, what would it be?
Well, hope he would move on the same track we're doing. I hope that this company Arai will keep working on the same track we have been following. And I like riding myself.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I think, why people ride motorcycle? I think my answer is because it is dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then challenge the danger.
Yeah.
That's what makes human being top of all the creation.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I admire this.
Yeah.
Another thing, what we are doing, ride motorcycle, just challenge the risk.
Yeah.
And enjoy that you are controlling the risk.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a great thing. Huh?
Yeah.
So I really hope that this culture will stay with Arai.
Okay. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming.
No, thanks for the invite. It's been a dream to come to Japan and a dream to visit Arai.